coming up on Nittany Game Week.
We always talk about we're always going to be competing, nothing's ever set, and that's how it should be.
School may be out for the summer. The football team continues the necessary work to meet their goal of a national championship season. The men's lacrosse team extends their season with a solid win over Colgate in the NCAA first round. What they do in the final minutes to help close out the Raiders. And the baseball team takes a mini tour of Pennsylvania to showcase their skills around the Keystone State. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Still a few programs in action. No doubt the Penn State sports year is winding down. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week.
Yeah, the expectations for the football team after the spring are sky high, and we travel the roadmap that leads to all kinds of PSU victories this past year.
We begin our opening drive with the men's lacrosse team in hot pursuit of a national title. Well, fans are treated to an exciting game at Panzer Stadium. PSU quickly breaks a 5-5 halftime tie with Colgate early in the third quarter, first round of the NCAA tournament, and in the first possession for the home team, Liam Matthews pushes the Nittany Lions in front. Big day for number 51. Now, you don't often see a long stick firing from long distance. The Raiders' aggressive style hurts them with the keeper defending out of the net. Junior Will Costin lets a rip from his own end. Tremendous accuracy. It's a gamble to leave the net open, a gamble to shoot from that far out. It's his first goal of the year, makes it 7-5. Colgate rallies the tide at 8. Senior attackman Will Peden with some solid work in the middle, back to the net just about. Twist scores the one-hopper in to give Penn State another lead, 9-8. In order to advance deep in the tournament, you need to win faceoffs. Freshman Reed Gills owns his Raiders counterpart, wins 9 in a row at one point, 21 of 28 on the day for Gills. You also need stellar defense. The Nittany Lions force a bunch of turnovers. Ethan Long swings and knocks it loose. Kevin Parnham scoops it up. Nittany Lions fall behind 11-10 and then come up clutch from there. They score the game's final 3 goals. The game winner comes from Matthews, works in close on the right side and finishes. It's his 4th of the game. PSU in front to stay. And then Matt Traynor splits a double team in the final minute to give them some breathing room. The final score is 13-11. Penn State eliminates a tough Colgate squad to advance to the quarterfinals, where they now face Notre Dame.
Your system, kind of your philosophical system, you hope that you can just get to this point and tweak versus reorganize what you're doing. So I'm hopeful that our experience through the course of this year's schedule and within the Big Ten is going to help them have a ton of confidence, move quickly throughout the course of each offensive possession, and generate, because we're going to have to generate, multiple scoring opportunities each time down the field.
So next up, it's the Fighting Irish in the quarterfinals in Annapolis, Maryland at Navy's Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Winner earns a spot in the Final Four.
On to football. With the spring season done and dusted and summer workouts just around the corner, the hype is building for this Penn State football program. A bunch of college football analysts have Penn State in at least the top 3, if not best in the country. For the team, though, it's about proving that's exactly where they belong. Following a jam-packed spring season, expectations are sky high for Penn State football.
You're not even a part of these conversations unless you're able to win year in and year out on a consistent basis and week in and week out on a consistent basis. And we've done that about as good as anybody in the country.
However, there is still work to be done to prove the doubters wrong. It starts with players stepping up to replace the key pieces that were lost.
We did lose some significant leadership, but we got a ton of guys that have been a part of that role as well. And then there's also some guys that are going to step up. This summer, probably about 70% of it's player driven. So, they're gonna get a ton of opportunities to be able to be in that type of position and earn that respect of their teammates.
There's a new team makeup that includes familiar and not so familiar faces, all of whom understand the Penn State standard.
All those guys are doing a really good job of just, getting 1% better each day, and it'll be a fun cycle in the summer with those guys as well.
A drive to reach the bar that has been set. More importantly, the challenge to be even better.
It's always competitive. Every year, we always talk about we're always going to be competing, nothing's ever set, and that's how it should be. Ultimately, I was talking about it a little bit earlier, but when you're competing, you're obviously getting the whole room better. So whether it's bringing in new guys, whatever it may be, competing at a high level is important, and it'll always kind of rise the room as a whole.
Work that begins in the spring goes through the summer to showcase in the fall.
Those guys we think have very, very bright futures. But we're going to need competition throughout the entire room. It's a ton of work that we can still get done, so that'll be important for us moving forward.
Yeah, hard work and preparation that they hope will translate into results come this 2025 season. Now, the Nittany Lions will have time to get gel and get into full form with 3 home games to start the season where they will be heavy favorites. Nevada, Florida International University, then Villanova to start the year, then a bye, and then it's showtime. A big-time meeting with Oregon, their first away game the following week when they take on UCLA out west to kick off October football.
It's a concept baseball coach Mike Gambino embraces. Take the show on the road for a mini tour of the Keystone State. He's impressed with the talent level in Pennsylvania and is excited to showcase the skills of his Penn State guys in front of home fans across PA. For the final week of the regular season, that means a date with Pitt at PNC Park in Pittsburgh and a matchup with Xavier at FNB Field in Harrisburg. We're going to show you some action from the team's final Big Ten series of the year in Piscataway at Rutgers. Sometimes it's about doing the little things right. Derek Cease has been a spark plug in the final stretch. A perfect sack bunt moves the runners over. And then it's Nate Voss, who breaks for home on contact, initially called out at the plate on the fielder's choice. But a second look at it shows Voss getting the hand on the plate before the tag as the ump comes out and gives the safe call. Later in the same inning, Jack Porter says enough of this small ball, and he launches one to straightaway center over the wall for a 3-run shot. Penn State takes 2 of 3 from the Scarlet Knights. Hey, here's what's ahead for Coach Gambino and the team. Final regular season game Saturday, late afternoon, Medler Field at Lubrano Park, 5:30 p.m. Then it's off to the Big Ten tournament in Omaha that made some noise at the conference tourney last year, advancing all the way to the championship game. A long week of baseball ahead if they can continue to win. It lasts from the 19th through the 25th. Up next, we retrace our steps for our roadmap to victory. So many teams with successful seasons. Which ones take a special journey, including the national championship women's volleyball team? More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
Embark on a journey of luxury.
A new level of sophistication.
Where?
In the Pocono Mountains.
The Lodge at Woodlock. Elegance defined.
The Swiftwater, a new and exciting addition to the luxury collection.
The picturesque French Manor. The iconic Mount Airy Casino Resort.
The Grand Lady of the Pocono Mountains, Skytop Lodge.
The Pocono Mountains Luxury Resorts Collection at PoconoMountains.com.
I've always wanted a big family, but one moment can change your whole entire life. I went to the doctor and was told I had stage 3 cancer and I would most likely never carry another baby. Right before I was about to start chemotherapy, I was told about a new clinical trial funded by Stand Up to Cancer that used immunotherapy. And after my 9th treatment, my tumor had completely disappeared. Because of this trial, I was able to welcome a beautiful baby girl and watch my family grow. Help push cancer research further at standuptocancer.org/cures.
Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by the R&R family of companies.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. The college sports season started 9 months ago. Since then, a bunch of Penn State programs have been on a roadmap to victory.
And we've been documenting the journey along the way, starting with an unprecedented football season that results in a trip to the Big Ten Championship, a home playoff game, followed by trips to the Fiesta and Orange Bowls. We retrace the steps for a fun recap of the most interesting journeys for the blue and white. It starts with the student athletes, tough-minded, talented, individual excellence that leads to team domination, with the experienced champions contributing even after their eligibility has expired.
we still have guys like Aaron that's helping out and coach and things like that. So I just feel like when you kind of have that group of guys and that level of experience, it always makes it fun and exciting and things like that. And we have a guy that's a sophomore in the NCAA finals, and our other finalist is a freshman. So that's pretty much tell you kind of where the program's going. We have some young guys that are really making noise, and so I think our coaches are going to keep leading in that direction.
One of those young wrestlers is a new NCAA champion, sophomore Mitchell Messenbrink. He embodies the qualities of a Penn State wrestler, physically gifted, passionate about the sport, and grateful for his support system, while using every resource available to him to improve, including philosophy and psychology.
Success equals, right, like being fearless, courageous, disciplined, cunning, right, smart, and stuff like that. And I think those are things that we've seen transcend history in champions and in leaders, and my coaches and my parents and my family. There's no shortcoming to that. They're all that, and I've been able to learn that not only in a philosophy book from the leaders, that moral exemplars is what it's called in philosophy. Like, I have them in my life.
The Lions haven't been very nice to opposing pitchers. In the first 5 games in April, they've pounded out 48 runs and recently broke the program's home run record for a season, surpassing last year's mark of 53.
One of the best offenses that we've had here at Penn State, and it's one of the best offenses in the country. When you look at the stats, we're a top 25 team in several offensive categories, and just we're very very fortunate to just have great hitters.
No matter what, even though we struggled in the beginning, we were going to hit a point, turn it around, and play Penn State softball.
Penn State has had a lacrosse program since 1913. No two teams are exactly alike, and Team 112 is deep and offensively gifted. 14 different players scored the 22 goals against Robert Morris.
For sure, the diversity of that. Defensive middies did a great job of coming over and being aggressive in the offensive end, and then just sharing the ball. We got a number of guys that are out right now, so seeing some guys step up, playing some different roles, taking on a new leadership role. So all of that is going to make us more dangerous in the end, as we start to move into Big Ten play and hopefully after, so that depth is going to be crucial.
PSU is now in the heart of their schedule. They'll continue to build towards the postseason.
We're still a long ways away. I mean, we just got to come back and keep working every single day, every chance we can get. So just trying not to take it for granted. Senior year, so no regrets.
Through our values, through our purpose, then it doesn't matter whether it's beginning, middle, or end. You're just trying to do the best job you can, and then things will play out the way they should.
The senior class won't get another opportunity. Their eligibility is up, and they leave Hockey Valley knowing how to deal with adversity and flourish.
They did come from the lowest lows, obviously coming out of COVID, but also we had a pretty low this year. And so maybe, I don't know, learning the lessons that they learned, how they had to dig themselves out of COVID, applied to how they dug themselves out of this season. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask that. It's funny, you don't really achieve anything without being positive and working together, and that's how they did it.
Coach alluded to the lows of this season. They started unranked and then failed to win any of their first 9 Big Ten games. The 9th coming in a shootout loss to Notre Dame at Wrigley Field in Chicago. They ended the year with 22 wins to earn a top 5 ranking.
We haven't changed our stripes. Like we do play a certain way that we're proud of, that's fun, that's great for development, and it's exciting, and that's the way we think hockey should be played. And so we're never going to change that.
You're learning from the best, a history-making championship coach here who now 8 championships at Penn State. When you look at those, you look at the jersey, there's 8 on there. You were part of the first one, and now you're part of the most recent one. I'm not going to say last. How does that feel?
I mean, it's great. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, and I'm just so happy for the program and the players that came before me.
Of course, following the high-profile teams is a lot of fun. We really enjoyed catching up with some of the sports that don't receive nearly the attention.
Yeah, fencing and gymnastics come to mind. We still have a couple of teams left to keep an eye on, though, for our final episode of the season next week. Still to come, some of the most impactful interviews from our past season, including a chat with one of the all-time great broadcasters in sports history, Bob Costas. What complaint he still receives from Penn State fans from something he said over 30 years ago. We'll be right back with more Nittany Game Week after this.
These are more than just trucks. Every shipment moved by the R&R family of companies contributes to the Excel Foundation for Autism Research and Inclusion, funding safe spaces like the Sensory Room at Penn State's Beaver Stadium, and a special event sensory trailer, and giving thousands that were unheard a voice.
Now is the time to amplify non-speaking voices and drive meaningful change.
These trucks are powered by purpose.
We hope you enjoy these experiences as much as we do. Pocono Mountains Luxury Resorts. Luxury Unlimited. Find it at PoconoMountains.com.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Welcome back. There's a reason we call this segment the Impact Interview. Our weekly conversations are with people that have either already had a major impact in the sports world, most of the time Penn State, or are well on their way to making a difference in their communities, which includes Happy Valley. Here's a look at some of our favorite guests and conversations from the winter and spring seasons of Nittany Game Week. Give us an understanding of what you saw in their playoff performance, what you liked, and maybe why they came up a little bit short against the Fighting Irish.
Well, you said it. The margin for error is obviously super slim. You make a play at the end or you don't. Notre Dame has done a great job at making those plays all season long, especially the clutch takeaways. That's what they've lived by. And unfortunately, Penn State and the quarterback cooperated with that late in the game. I would have liked to see what had happened goes to overtime, because I think Penn State showed a lot in their first two playoff games, showed a lot really all season long. I think they were built for the run too. And the margin between them and Notre Dame was really very, very slim. So, again, you see these games that come down to a play or two, and the victories, you get to write the history when you make those plays. And Notre Dame did, and it's gut-wrenching for Penn State to fall short. But I think they accomplished a lot this year, and hopefully silenced some of the critics and some of the nonsense the way they played in some big games.
How big is this settlement for the future of college sports, and where are we at right now with where things are at?
Yeah, let's talk about it first and foremost, how big this settlement is just in general, right? And this is assuming that the settlement gets approved, which it looks like it will, and I'll talk about that in a second. This will be the largest antitrust settlement in U.S. history of any industry, because what we're talking about is $2.8 billion of back pay for those college student athletes from 2016 through 2024. But then also this permissive revenue share going forward, looking at around $20.5 million per school that opts in to this, all the P4s, but also the other schools that opt in for the next 10 years, with escalators ratcheting that number up each year. This is a massive, massive proposed settlement, if assuming that it gets approved.
I had a desire to major in engineering, and Penn State's engineering was fifth in the country. Football was number one in the country, and I had the option to play baseball later in my career there.
Tragedy sneaks into your life with your dad's situation. If you can enlighten people what happened there, how did you react to it, and it led to uplifting athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of revisit that, it was fall of 2002. We were playing Iowa on my way home from practice, get a call from my mom. My dad had been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. A lot of people knew my dad in the area. He was a winner. He was a fighter. He was a coach at Mechanicsburg High School for the baseball team for 34 years. Had over 400 wins. Had more wins than Paterno at the time. We used to joke about that. But he was given this diagnosis that wasn't good. He was given 6 months to live, and it was hard to process what that meant. And I told my teammate at the time, Damone Jones, and he said, "Well, we're Penn State football, let's fight for him. So we talked about an idea that we had to hold a summer weightlifting competition called the Lift for Life, which we launched in summer 2003. And we were kind of the dog that caught the fire truck. We held the first event and learned that, yes, we could mobilize our fans around a cause that we were passionate about, but more importantly, we could inspire this rare disease community with hope by simply taking action. So felt like we had created something pretty special, not just for our teammates and for our community or for the rare disease patients, but really for the families that were out there fighting alone, and we came alongside of them and said, we're here to fight with you.
I'm saying this to Penn State fans as nicely as I can. I wish there had been a system by which Tom Osborne's Cornhuskers could have played Joe Paterno's Nittany Lions for the true clear-cut national championship, but it didn't exist. So what I said that night was correct to the comma, no matter how angry you are at me still.
In her health situation. When did you guys get a grasp on how that was going to affect the season? How much did it affect the season? And were you able to kind of put that on the back burner as you went out and tried to perform without too much emotion?
Yeah, it definitely took us a second, I think, for it to sink in because, it's news that you never really expect to hear. And it's kind of, you don't really know how to respond if you've never dealt with those type of things in your life before with people that are that close to you and that much in your life being in that situation. So I think it definitely took a second of how we wanted to adjust. And I think we adjusted the right way of having that mentality of it's bigger than us and seeing like what's around us and what's more important of what's just the game and how much she's going in the gym every day for us and how much she wants us to get better. And it's like she's doing all this to show up for us and we want to do something for her. We want to show up for her to practice to games and make her life that much easier. And I think that's what really helped of us a lot because we weren't really thinking about like playing in self-performance. We were thinking kind of about the whole team aspect of it.
A lot of fun. Hope you enjoy hearing our conversations as much as we enjoy them ourselves. Make sure you go to nittany-game-week.com for all of our Impact interviews. You can also check out past complete episodes along with other web-exclusive content like our depth chart. Former Penn Stater Yannick Conan-Niederhauser is pursuing his professional dreams. What the next step is for the agile big guy.
The headlines are heart-wrenching. Crews recover body of missing swimmer. Drowning victim did not wear a life jacket. You don't think it can happen to you. The river looks calm, but the current is a killer if you don't wear a life jacket. Swimming, floating, fishing, boating, wear it. The life you save could be yours. Don't fall victim to drowning. Wear a life jacket.
These are more than just trucks. Every shipment moved by the R&R family of companies contributes to the Excel Foundation for Autism Research and Inclusion, funding safe spaces like the Sensory Room at Penn State's Beaver Stadium, and a special event sensory trailer, and giving thousands that were unheard a voice.
Now is the time to amplify non-speaking voices and drive meaningful change.
These trucks are powered by purpose. The Nittany Game Week Depth Chart is brought to you by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Heading into the final minutes of our show, we'd love to highlight some cool achievements from Penn State athletes. Men's basketball forward Yannick Conan-Niederhauser has been invited to the NBA Combine following a good outing in the G League Elite Camp last weekend. Conan-Niederhauser led the Big Ten with an average of 2.31 blocks per game, 12th amongst all D1 players. And the junior did declare for the 2025 NBA Draft. Then sticking with some standout Penn State athletes, we got a Penn State softball team to talk about in this week's Dean's List. With their impressive season, Penn State locked in 6 players with Big Ten postseason accolades. 4 players, including sophomore Brooke Clausewitz, fifth-year player Megan Ricks, and seniors Maddie Gordon and Haley Brunson were named to the conference second team. The 4 appointees set a new program record for number of players to make that list. Additionally, freshman Natalie Lido was named to the Big Ten All-Defensive Team, while Jordan Jokins was named as Big Ten Sportsmanship honoree. Penn State was just one of 5 Big Ten programs to have at least 4 selections to the first or second team in a season where the Nittany Lions shattered records offensively in the 2025 year. Congrats to this week's Dean's List honorees.
Thank you, Ryan. Don't forget, we bring all Nittany lines together with our depth chart at nittany-game-week.com. We're connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers. The goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. And we're covering all things Penn State athletics for 40 consecutive weeks. And this is episode 39. So do the math. We have our final show of the college sports year next week. Make sure to check out past episodes and other web-exclusive content on our website, nittany-game-week.com. And we have had a blast following along with PSU from late August until late May. For Ryan and the entire Nittany Game Week crew, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.